South Africans, let me tell you the reason why South Africa is in a dire strait right now, because a lot of people are just assuming, they're talking about corruption, money looting, money laundering. They don't understand the concept behind this money looting, money laundering. The main cause of this actually is oligarchs. Oligarchs is a concept whereby the country is being run by entrepreneurs, business people. And that starts from this way. You remember Russia in the beginning, when I was rising up, getting to a stage of self-actualization, I used to hear about the Soviet Union around the 90s up until early 90s when it collapsed in 1991. At that time, I was already there in politics. I can still remember quite well. I even remember when they say Ronald Reagan, he engineered that, he was assisting that with Margaret Thatcher, collapse of that Soviet Union. Anyway, however, what happened here is during Soviet Union, they started now with privatizing the state assets, and then that was engineered actually by Mikhail Gorbachev because he was general secretary. Mikhail Gorbachev, he was secretary until 1991 when he collapsed. I think he started in 1985. Yeah, 1985. He started becoming a general secretary, and then they started now with that policy to privatize the state assets, and then the people were interested, entrepreneurs, and then the first person, it was a mathematician who started buying state assets. His name was Boris Berezovsky. He was a very brilliant gentleman, a former researcher. Then he bought the some of the assets, and then remember, it's before the collapse now. It's before 1991, and then it started now increasingly become influential in Russian politics. And then Boris Yeltsin now took over after it collapsed now. He took over as a president from 1991, I think, till 1999, according to the terms there in Russia. And then now that it dubbed as the wild, 90s now, then it became now the main concept in Russia that they have to sell, the assets, and you must remember, oligarchs, it helps a lot. I mean, particularly for a president, because they have got power to buy, votes for a president, and then for re-election. If they want to change after negotiating with the current president, they can still do it, and then they finance all those stakeholders and all that. And that's why Boris Yeltsin was re-elected. It was through the aid of this oligarchs. He was re-elected in 1996. So because he was well connected, and the other person who was involved in that, those who follow soccer, there's a guy who bought Chelsea, and then he was from Russia. His name is Roman Abramovich. He is the guy who followed the mathematician in becoming oligarch. And there's some others, and Michael, I can't remember his name, but his name means Michael. And then the other one is Vladimir Putin. I remember because of Vladimir Putin. So now, look at South Africa, what's happening. And you must remember, oligarch system, it doesn't last long, because right now in Russia, US now started sanctioning Russia because of oligarchs, because they know that, US, how it operates. US wants to dominate. Its domination is from the head of state. They have to brainwash the head of state that he must, be calm. They domesticate him and then calm him and then they infiltrate in his country and then take whatever they want there. And, that's how they do. That's why they kill guys who are resistant, like Saddam Hussein, like Muammar Gaddafi, like those Petrus Lumumba and Thomas Sankara. Although it was other countries, but the Western was involved in that because they're always there. Where there's a smoke, you must know the fire comes from the U.S. Actually, where there's fire, the smoke comes from U.S. However, now you must remember Mr. Zuma, as I said, is an ally to Russia. He's a friend to Vladimir Putin, and he trained there, and then he is well acquainted with the system. That's why he wanted to implement that. I say he wanted, although he did, because it didn't work with the Gupta brothers. So what actually was happening with the Gupta brothers? It was oligarchs. That's why they were appointing people like Malusi Kikaba, like the Weekend Special, like all these people who didn't know what they were doing actually. They were just grabbed, like Tom Moyane, all those people. They were the candidates that were selected by the Gupta brothers. So meaning that it was oligarch kind of an approach or a system or a governance. So that is where this sketch started, or South Africa to be where it is now. Gupta brothers people, they did a massive, massive damage in our country. You may think that it's just, Gupta brothers, they took like 50 billion that we're talking about. It's not 50, it's more than that, because you must remember all these guys, all these, the ministers and whatever. I don't want to say puppets because I want to talk things that are going, the rocketry, But they got hands in the picking up of the money. You must remember what happened to Transnet, to Eskom, Dinel, SARS. It was a mess because of oligarch system. So oligarch system is very, very venomous and is very, very destructive. That's why our country is where it is now. Now, be careful. Actually, oligarchs, before the Gupta brothers, it was already implemented. You must remember there are people who are politicians. They are now business people. They are no more politicians. And those people, they are billionaires, multimillionaires because of this oligarch system. They were given assets, some were given loans, one of those is the former premier of somewhere. I don't want to mention because I don't want to be sued. The other one, he was a member of a certain political party that was very, very influential and very active in the liberation of South Africa. But it's not ANC. Still that one, I don't want to mention his name. But those guys, they benefited. Some are from ANC, you know them anyway. So that's how oligarchs affected or attributed to the downfall of South Africa. It's going to take time for us actually to resuscitate from where we are right now, to reinvigorate economic system. It needs a very strong economic policies, and we don't have, stable economic policies because we depend more on dollarization, we depend more on export, imports, we depend on AGOA, which is now at the brink of catastrophe. We don't have much that we develop or manufacture or produce in our country, except the mineral resources. You know what happens with the mineral resources? They are taken by British and US, so they take all the monies and just let them rail or fly back to US or to British. So it's going to take long, I can guarantee you, for our country, to recover from this economic cliff. And unless if we can get a very powerful Minister of Finance, well, we've got a governor who is always fighting for the reduction of the inflation, which is a bonus for us, just like his predecessor was just likewise. But our finance minister, I can guarantee you, there's nothing that he's doing. You know why? If there's something that was doing, he would have spoken to his boss that, my boss, we are spending a lot of money for the parliamentarians, and the money that the PACs and the expenses to fly, go overseas, corruption, and it's not gonna work for us. Do something about this. And let these ministers who have been engaged or alleged in corruption, let them, be, shifted and get some people, There are a lot of people who are allied to your president. I don't know why doesn't he elect. There are some other people who have been deputies for a long time. Some they're just bench homers there, and they are influential, educated people. But because I don't know how the selection criterion of our president, because we get people like our previous Minister of Justice. I mean, that person had some scandals from where she's coming from in Limpopo, and then she's a minister, and another scandal, and shifted to another ministry. So you can just see that it's a very frustrating kind of a situation in South Africa, because accountability and maybe overseeing it's not effective. Because accountability and due diligence and it's just a taboo. It's bizarre. I'm very frustrated, people, I can guarantee, because I'm a very optimistic person. I want to see people living a good life, but the way things are being run, they will never get anywhere. My purpose, my objectives, my plans, and my desire, my aspiration will never come to pass if we've got such kind of a president, and who doesn't want to take responsibility. He doesn't want to act. He's not proactive. Allegation, there's no smoke without a fire. When they say the Minister of Police is involved in, drug cartels and all, you have to take action. When they say this and this, you have to take action. Now we've got the commissions that are going to take years, and then he heads on the commission, nothing is taking place. There's no any accountability, no action. So you've got another one here, and spending monies and all that. It's our money, our tax money. That should be used, to assist, to empower women, articulated women, and privileged women, to skill our youth, to fight against drugs, and it's used for commissions, and those commissions, nothing's going to happen, I can guarantee you. And Yeah, so I can't say more about this, It's just that I wanted to elaborate more about oligarchs because people don't understand what is the problem with our country, that it has to be in such dire straits, and, it's because of that. So we've got people who are very, very fortunate. They are billionaires, multi-billionaires because of oligarchs, and it's really pathetic. I can assure you. I mean, we've got a very paralysis that is, it's very contagious in Parliament, and yeah, I'm weightless. So, but let's pray hard. Maybe God will come to our rescue one day. I'm optimistic that when we pray, things gonna change. But when we don't, forget, there is nothing that can come up. But let's hope for the best. And I love you all, people. And I feel so bad, particularly to people who live in abject poverty, because there's nothing that they can do. We can afford because we've got financial muscle. But what about those people who are at the grassroots level? It's just a calamity of misfortune. So, but stay well.